Hello friends and welcome to Hitbullseye. My name is Manish Mittal and I am back with your weekly dose of current affairs. So many prominent people have been in news this week, including sportspersons, political personalities and some controversial people as well. Other than that, some really important international prizes have been given out and some sports events have also been in news. So in this particular video and in this particular episode, we will have a look at all those important news that you shouldn't miss in the third week of May. So without any delay, let's get started. The first news we are going to cover is Marcos Jr. So Marcos Jr. is an international politician. We will see why Mr. Marcos Jr. is in news. Then Dr. Frank Wisk. Dr. Frank Wisk has won an international prominent prize. We will see which prize Dr. Frank has won and what is the importance of that particular prize. Then Czech Republic, which is a East European country, has become a member of the UN Human Rights Commission. There is a bit of a controversy involved in this particular news, which we will try to understand. Lionel Messi. Of course, who doesn't know Lionel Messi? So if you're a football fan, and even if you're not, I'm sure Lionel Messi is a name that rings a bell. So we will see why he is making news this week. Next, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. So United Arab Emirates has been in news in Indian context for the last 2 to 3 months. Either it is the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or the change of leadership. So we will see why Mr. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan is in news this week. Then Manik Sarkar is an Indian politician who has become the Chief Minister of a northeastern state. So we will find out which state that is. Next, the Conference of Parties 15th session on combating desertification has taken place and a team from India has also participated in the same. So we will try to have a look at the details emerging out of this meeting. Next, in a positive development, India's 52nd Tiger Reserve has been declared in Rajasthan. So we will have a look at that. Basically, India till now has 51 tiger reserves and this is the latest addition to the list. Next, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has handed over INS Surat and INS Udgirgiri to the nation. So we will see what these are and how they are helpful for India's defence strategy. In significant news from the business world, India's largest acquisition is going to take place in the manufacturing, in the construction sector. Adani Group is set to buy Ambuja Cements and ACC. So we will see what are the implications of this, where does the merger and acquisition industry stand in India, and how is it going to help Indian economy going ahead. Next, important person in news, Mr. S.S. Mundra, who was a former Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank of India. He has been given a prominent position and we will see which that position is. And finally, perhaps the most controversial news of the week, the Supreme Court has ordered the release of Perari villain, who is a convict in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. So we will have a look at the details of that case as well. So with all those interesting news, let's start with the first one. So Marcos Jr. is the person who is the son of late Philippine dictator Ferdinand Marcos. So he is known as Marcos Jr. and he has claimed victory in the 2022 presidential election of Philippines. So he has claimed to become the president of Philippines with more than 30 million votes. Right? So if he wins, which of course I'm sure he has returned to power the Marcos dynasty. So his father, Ferdinand Marcos, was a proclaimed dictator, and with his coming back to power, it's like the same family is coming back to power. And that's why in protest against that, thousands of people have gathered on the streets of Philippines. And Philippines' capital is Manila. Right? So there are a lot of protests going on in Manila against the victory of Marcos Jr., because many people are alleging that the votes are rigged and that he has compromised the ethics of the country and of the Constitution of Philippines by rigging the votes of the presidential election. So it's quite a controversial thing. But Philippines has good relations with India. It is a member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations as well, and India has really good relations with all the Southeast Asian nations. Particularly, there are 10 countries that are members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and Philippines is one of those. And India has good relations with all the ASEAN members. Another person in news is Dr. Frank Wisk. So Dr. Frank Wisk has, so what is his achievement basically? He is a Nobel Prize winning theoretical physicist. This is already, I think, one of the biggest feathers to his cap, that he's already a Nobel Prize winning physicist. And he is also an author renowned for his investigations into the fundamental laws of nature. He has now won the Templeton Prize 2022. So it's not that Nobel Prize was not enough. So he has now won the Templeton Prize. Perhaps Nobel Prize is considered the most prestigious award in the field of physics. But he has also won the Templeton Prize 2022, and this prize is awarded to individuals whose life's work embodies a fusion of science and spirituality. Basically, Templeton Prize is awarded, it's like a combination of Nobel Prize in Sciences and Nobel Prize in Peace, you can say. And this award was established by John Templeton. That's why the award is named after him. He established this prize for the progress of religion, and he established it in 1972, and the first Templeton Prize was given to Mother Teresa. Now you might think that what was Mother Teresa's contribution to science? Exactly, that's the point. It's more about social service, it's more about promoting religious harmony and promoting peace that this award is given. And it's a really good achievement of Dr. Frank that he has won an award which is so different from the core sciences awards. Next, Czech Republic has become a member of the UN Human Rights Commission. So there is a brief history about it. Basically, Russia has been excluded as a member of the UN Human Rights Council, and in its place, it is Czech Republic that has become the new member. So Russia has been suspended due to allegations of horrendous rights violations by Russian military in Ukraine. So we know that on 24th of February this year, Russia invaded Ukraine, and there have been reports coming out that indicate thousands of people suffering human rights violations, and that's why the Human Rights Council did not deem it fit to allow Russia to continue on the council, and that's why Russia's membership has been suspended, and in its place the assembly has unanimously opted for Czech Republic to replace it. Why Czech Republic? Because on the Human Rights Council there are 47 members, and all these members represent different regions of the world. For example, some members have to be from the Asia Pacific, some members have to be from Western Europe, some have to be from Eastern Europe, some have to be from the Americas, and some from Africa. So it's like the council should have representation from all parts of the world. And after Russia's suspension, the successor of Russia had to come from an East European country. So it was the East European quota under which Russia was a member of the Human Rights Council. And since East Europe was only eligible to apply, it was Czech Republic that applied and got elected. There was a secret ballot, so 180 members participated in the voting. 193 members are the total members of the UN General Assembly, and 180 out of those cast their ballots. 157 countries voted in support and 23 were absent. So an overwhelming majority of 157 members voted in favor of Czech Republic, and none of them opposed the membership of the Czech Republic on the UN Human Rights Council. So it's a big rebuke, and it's a big you can say message to the Russian leadership that how the entire world's opinion is right now shaped up against Russia's human rights violations in Ukraine. Next, Lionel Messi. So the world, I mean, the most renowned footballer of the world, Lionel Messi. Why is he in news? He's in good news for the good reason, of course. So he has topped the list of Forbes highest paid athletes for 2022. So he is the highest paid athlete in the world 2022, and he has reported an income of $130 million. Followed by, so who is the second? LeBron James with $121 million, and Cristiano Ronaldo was third with $115 million. So all the three, the most prominent sports persons in the world: Lionel Messi, LeBron James, and Cristiano Ronaldo. And Lionel Messi made a lot of news last year because he moved from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain in 2021, and Cristiano Ronaldo rejoined Manchester United from Juventus in the same month. So both of these switched their clubs, and this calculation by the Forbes is based on the prize money, the salaries, the bonuses, and the sponsorship deals of these athletes. So some of the athletes make quite a lot of money, and Lionel Messi is the king of them all. You can say that. And in another news, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who was the Prime Minister of UAE, or United Arab Emirates, has now become the President of United Arab Emirates following the death of his brother Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan. So the Supreme Council of the United Arab Emirates has elected Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan as the president of UAE. So he is the new president of United Arab Emirates, and United Arab Emirates is basically a union of 7 different emirates that includes Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, then it also includes Abu Dhabi, which is also the capital of UAE. Right, so Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Abu Dhabi, Fujairah, Al Quwain, and Ras Al Khaimah. So these are the 7 different emirates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are the 7 emirates, the combination of which is United Arab Emirates. And out of this, the capital is Abu Dhabi, which is also the most prosperous and the most lively city of UAE. After that comes Dubai, which is the second most populous city of UAE, and this has also now become a tourism hub. So Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan was till now the ruler of Abu Dhabi, and he has now become the president of UAE. So the meeting was held in Abu Dhabi, and it was headed by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is right now the vice president and prime minister of the UAE, and is also the ruler of Dubai. So basically it's a kind of arrangement where 2 biggest emirates of UAE, that is Abu Dhabi and Dubai, their leaders become the presidents, prime ministers, and vice presidents. So that is exactly what has happened right now as well. So last week Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan had died, and now it is his younger brother who has assumed this role. And there are quite a lot of things famous about Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who has become the president now. He has been credited with introducing a lot of modernization into UAE. For example, he has, under his low-key direction, the UAE has put a man in space. He has sent a probe to Mars and opened its first nuclear reactor. So basically a lot of achievements in the field of science and technology, in the field of westernization, modernization, and in the fields of liberalization as well. UAE has earned accolades from all over the world. It's not like those you can say orthodox Islamic countries where Sharia law is applicable. On the other hand, in UAE, it has opened up to the world, and that's why it is attracting a lot of tourists as well. Next, Manik Saha. So Manik Saha is a Rajya Sabha MP and BJP state president of Tripura, and he is all set to become the next chief minister of Tripura. So there has been a lot of political upsurge and a lot of political, you can say, controversies in the state of Tripura, and at the end of it, Mr. Manik Sarkar, who is the state BJP unit president and is a lone Rajya Sabha MP from Tripura, has emerged as the front runner in becoming the chief minister of Tripura. And the decision was taken after the former chief minister Biplab Kumar Deb had resigned. So Manik Sarkar is the new CM of Tripura. In another important news from environment and ecology point of view as well, and from international perspective as well, the Conference of Parties' 15th session on combating desertification was recently held, and the Indian team was led by none other than the Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Bhupendra Yadav. So this also you need to know that the Ministry of Environment and Forest, its full name is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and it is right now headed by Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, and this session took place in Abidjan, which is in Côte d'Ivoire. So it was the 15th Conference of Parties on the United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. So what is desertification? Basically, due to over-exploitation of groundwater and due to repetitive cycle of cropping in various countries of the world, the fertile soil is on the verge of getting desertified. It's on the verge of losing its nutrients, and the deserts are expanding into the fertile areas. For example, in India as well, the states that border Rajasthan are on the verge of getting desertified in the next 20 to 25 years. And if that happens, the world will face a serious food security issue. And to stop that, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification was adopted, and it was the 15th session of this meeting. Right, so the 14th session, the previous session, was held in New Delhi, and India is the current president of this organization. These are a couple of facts that you should know. So another heartening news, India's 52nd Tiger Reserve has come up. India till now has 51 dedicated tiger reserves, and now it is the 52nd tiger reserve that India has. The name of this reserve is Ramgarh Vishdhari Tiger Reserve. It is the Ramgarh Vishdhari Tiger Reserve, and it is in Rajasthan. It has been notified by the Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav. So again, two news about the same person. The Ramgarh Vishdhari Tiger Reserve, you have to remember this name. It is Rajasthan's 4th Tiger Reserve and India's 52nd Tiger Reserve. Project Tiger is the nodal program for establishing tiger reserves, and Project Tiger was started in the year 1972. So under this project, basically, the National Tiger Conservation Authority, or NTCA, was set up, and it takes care of the tiger population in India. And perhaps it is due to these steps that have been taken by NTCA and by the previous government of India, the tiger population has actually seen a marked increase over the years, as the tiger census has suggested. Why we give so much importance to tigers? Because it helps in conserving biodiversity and bringing ecotourism and development in the country. Right? Then, in another news, INS Surat and INS Udgirgiri have been inaugurated by the Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and these are made in India warships. So these two made in India warships have been you can say dedicated to the nation by the Union Defence Minister, and it is the first time that two indigenously built warships have been launched together. Both have been designed in-house by Directorate of Naval Design and built at MDL Mumbai, that is Mazagon Docks Limited, Mumbai. So these are the two ships, INS Udgirgiri and INS Surat. You can see that most of the warships, they are named after some cities, and these two of course are also named after Udgirgiri and Surat. So in a major news for business and economy, Adani Group has decided to buy Ambuja Cements and ACC. So Adani Group, that belongs to Gautam Adani, is going to acquire Swiss multinational company Holcim's stake in Ambuja Cements and its subsidiary ACC. So who has that stake in Ambuja Cements and ACC? It is a Swiss company, Holcim, and Adani Group is going to buy Holcim's stake in Ambuja and ACC, and the deal is going to be of the size of $10.5 billion, which is a massive sum. It's about 81,000 crore rupees, and it is the largest ever acquisition by Adani, and it is also India's largest ever M&A transaction in the infrastructure and material sector. So in infrastructure sector and material sector like cement, this is the largest ever merger and acquisition activity in India. So it's bound to create flutters in the material segment. Next, so this gentleman SS Mundra has been in news. He was the deputy governor of the Reserve Bank of India. He retired in 2017, and now he is going to become the chairperson of Bombay Stock Exchange. So BSE has got its new chairperson in SS Mundra. Right, so Mundra will replace Justice Vikramjit Sen, who is the current chairman of Bombay Stock Exchange. And Mundra was appointed as Public Interest Director at Bombay Stock Exchange in January 2018. So basically, after retiring as Deputy Governor of RBI, Mr. Mundra was serving as the Public Interest Director of the Bombay Stock Exchange. But now he has risen up to become the chairperson of Bombay Stock Exchange. Next, last but not the least, the Supreme Court has ordered the release of Rajiv Gandhi assassination case convict A.G. Perarivalan. So A.G. Perarivalan has been allowed to be released by Supreme Court under Article 142 of the Constitution of India. So Article 142 of the Constitution of India gives Supreme Court extraordinary power to do complete justice in any cause or matter pending before it. And this decision was taken by the bench of Justice L.N. Rao and B.R. Gavai on the account of his lengthy incarceration. So if we see a brief background of the case, former Prime Minister of India Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated on 21st of May 1991, and he was killed by a human bomb. He was killed by a human bomb. And in that conspiracy, a number of people were arrested, but right now around 6 people are in jail, and they are serving jail. You can say they're serving lifetime imprisonment. And out of those, one was Mr. Perarivalan. The charge on Mr. Perarivalan was that he had supplied the batteries which were used in the bomb that actually killed Mr. Gandhi. So the bomb had batteries which were used to detonate the bomb, and those batteries were supplied by Mr. Perarivalan. But Mr. Perarivalan later pleaded that he did not know what those batteries were for, and the police officer who wrote his confession was not authorized to write a confession, because a confession is not admissible if it is given in front of a police officer. So the court later found out some problems in that, but throughout the time Mr. Perarivalan was in jail, and since 1991 he is in jail, so it's around 31 years of imprisonment. And even though he was granted capital punishment, he was given capital sentence in 1999 by the Supreme Court, the government took around 20 years to decide on his plea for mercy. So, keeping in account that delay, the Supreme Court has now said that his lengthy incarceration is akin to double jeopardy. So, double jeopardy is a principle under the Constitution of India, according to which no person can be punished twice for an offence committed once. So according to Supreme Court of India, keeping him in jail for 30 long years is equivalent to serving 2 different sentences. So now he cannot be given capital punishment because he has already served a double life sentence, which is supposed to be 14 years, but he has served in jail for 31 years. So he cannot be given capital punishment because that would be equivalent to double jeopardy, and under that principle Mr. Pelarivalan has been released. And now that this standard has been set by the Supreme Court, perhaps the other convicts under the case who are also undergoing imprisonment for more than 30 years now are going to be released if this case is to be believed. So that is all what this case was all about. Also, the date, that is 21st of May, on which Mr. Gandhi was assassinated, it is now celebrated, it is now commemorated as International Day Against Terrorism. Right? It is celebrated or observed as the International Day Against Terrorism. So that is all in this particular session. I hope you liked the information and the knowledge shared in this session. If you did, please like this episode and share it with your friends so that they can also benefit from the same. Thank you so much. This is me, Manish Mittal, signing off. Take care.